This is Bob. In less than a week, he'll be living in a place with no police department, no city hall, no water system, no street addresses, and almost no rules. That sounds less like a town, and more like the beginning of a disaster. But here's the strange part. Bob is moving there on purpose. He's selling his house, leaving his job, packing everything he owns into an old trailer, and driving into the California desert, to a place called Slab City. Most experiments like this fail. Some collapse into chaos. Others simply disappear. But this one has survived for decades. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If anarchy isn't supposed to work, why is Slab City still here? And the deeper you look into this place, the stranger the answer becomes. At first glance, Slab City looks like a mistake. Imagine standing in the middle of the California desert. The summer temperature can climb above 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The ground is baking. Dust fills the air. There are no tree-lined streets, no suburban neighborhoods, no office buildings, no sign that a functioning town should exist here at all. Instead, you'll find old RVs, makeshift homes, rusted vehicles, solar panels, and hundreds of people who made the deliberate decision to live here. Most Americans wouldn't last a week. Some probably wouldn't last a day. So why do people stay? To answer that, we have to go back almost a century. Because Slab City wasn't supposed to exist. Not even by accident. The story begins during World War II. The U.S. military built a training base in this desert called Camp Dunlap. Thousands of soldiers passed through here before being deployed overseas. But when the war ended, the base was abandoned. The buildings were torn down. The soldiers left. And eventually, nature began reclaiming the land. Almost everything disappeared. Except for one thing. The concrete foundations. The slabs. Those forgotten pieces of concrete would eventually give this place its name. Slab City. A town built on what everyone else left behind. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Because abandoned military bases usually become ghost towns. Slab City became the opposite. People started showing up. Then more people arrived. And before long, something strange began growing in the middle of nowhere. A community. Some came looking for freedom. Others came because they couldn't afford traditional housing anymore. Retirees. Travelers. Artists. Veterans. People trying to escape the system. And people who felt the system had already abandoned them. Over time, this forgotten patch of desert became one of the most unusual social experiments in America. Because the fewer rules Slab City had, the more people seemed interested in living there. And that's where things get complicated. Think about a normal American city. You have police, building codes, utility companies, property taxes, government offices, layers upon layers of regulations. Now imagine removing almost all of it. How long would that city survive? A month? A year? Most people would assume it would fall apart almost immediately. Yet Slab City has existed for decades. Which is why journalists, sociologists, and filmmakers keep coming back to study it. Because it forces us to ask a question most people never think about. How much government does a community actually need to function? And the answer isn't nearly as obvious as it seems. Let's go back to Bob. He's finally arrived. And for the first time in years, he feels free. No mortgage payment. No HOA. No property taxes. No landlord. No one telling him what he can or can't build on his piece of desert. It sounds perfect. Until reality kicks in. Because freedom comes with a price. If his generator breaks, that's his problem. If he runs out of water, that's his problem. If his solar system fails, that's his problem too. There is no customer support line. No city maintenance crew. No emergency repair service. Out here, you're responsible for everything. And that's when many newcomers discover something surprising. Living without a system sounds great. Until you become the system. Then summer arrives. And this is where Slab City begins testing people. The metal walls of trailers become ovens. The desert sun feels relentless. Air conditioning stops being a luxury. It becomes survival equipment. Water stops being a convenience. It becomes your most valuable resource. Even finding shade can feel like a daily challenge. At this point, you'd expect most people to leave. Many do. But some never leave at all. And that's where the story gets even stranger. Because the reason isn't the desert. It's the people. Over the years, Slab City developed something unexpected. A culture. A personality. Its own identity. One of the best examples is Salvation Mountain. A massive, brightly colored art installation rising from the desert floor. Built largely by one man, Leonard Knight. For decades, he worked on it almost every day. Using clay, paint, and an extraordinary amount of persistence. Today, it's one of California's most recognizable roadside attractions. And in many ways, it perfectly represents Slab City itself. A crazy idea that somehow became real. But there's still one major problem. Crime. What happens when there are very few formal rules? Most people assume the answer is obvious. Chaos. And yes, problems exist. But the reality is more complicated. Because even without traditional government structures, residents developed informal systems of order. People know each other. Information spreads quickly. Communities organize themselves. It's not perfect. Far from it. But it reveals something fascinating about human behavior. Even when formal authority disappears, people still tend to create rules. Just different ones. And this brings us to the biggest twist in the entire story. Slab City isn't truly independent. Not really. Residents still drive on American roads. Buy supplies from nearby towns. Use services provided by the broader economy. And rely on infrastructure built by the very system many of them wanted to escape. Which creates an interesting contradiction. Slab City might look like an anarchist experiment. But it survives partly because it's surrounded by one of the most powerful governments on Earth. And suddenly, the question changes. It's no longer, does anarchy work? Instead, it becomes, how much of society can you remove before everything falls apart? Now let's check back in with Bob. Months have passed. He's survived the heat. Learned how to conserve water. Fixed his own equipment. Made friends. Adapted. And now he faces a choice. Go back. Or stay. Most people would leave. But that's the secret of Slab City. People arrive because they're searching for freedom. They stay because they discover something else. Independence. The feeling that, for better or worse, their lives belong entirely to them. And for some people, that's worth every sacrifice. Today, Slab City remains one of the strangest places in America. Some see it as a symbol of freedom. Others see it as evidence of social failure. And some see it as a warning about what happens when people fall outside the traditional system. But no matter how you view it, one fact remains. The experiment is still running. Right now. As you're watching this video, someone is arriving in Slab City for the first time. Someone is discovering how difficult life without infrastructure can be. And someone else is deciding they'll never leave. Which leaves us with one final question. If most people choose comfort over freedom, why do places like Slab City continue to exist? Maybe because deep down, we've all wondered the same thing. What would happen if the rules disappeared? And Slab City may be the closest America has ever come to finding out.